What's up, all brats? It's Special God here, and welcome to part 3 of What If Deku Had Haki. Now, the previous part have been uploaded, and you can go check it out by clicking the link in the description below to go check out the playlist where you can see the previous parts so you can understand the story more. And I have a Instagram channel which you can click in the link in the description below also if you guys want. But enough with the sponsorship, like clicking in the link in the description below. I hope you guys are ready for this part, because this part is gonna have some insane moments. Like, because from now I'm gonna like go to the USJ as well as the sports festival. So if you guys are interested in it, again, wait up. So without any further ado, let's get watching. So story start off with the next day or the couple of days later while students are doing things. The important thing Aizawa says is that they need a class president. Now they start voting themselves, except for Izuku, who is just silent in all of this, not wanting to interfere. And he's kind of annoyed by this, he's kind of really annoyed. And Ida eventually convinces the entire student body of class 1A to select on a vote. And unfortunately for Ida, his expectations get crashed when Izuku is selected to be the president and Momo Yairozu is selected to be the vice president. And even though Izuku really does not want it, but he can kind of understand why. And Izuku's votes are around 7, okay? 7 votes, and Yairozu has 3, and it's kind of difficult. Izuku does accept his position as the president, and while they're eating lunch, he gets to know about Ida's family being in Genium and stuff. But that's when the alarm starts going off, and people start rushing, where Izuku gets to learn about the alarm meaning someone has invaded UA. Izuku gets pushed back by the crowd to the door, where he sees the breach happen, as well as the reporter trying to crowd outside there. He tries to stop other people, but they are not listening. They are trying to go in spectacularly. I mean, they are just running for their lives. And Izuku has enough. He spreads an amount of Conquest Haki that makes them entirely still. And with this Conquest Haki, he kind of unconsciously boosts his voice, telling them to calm the fuck down and to look outside the window, because they are just reporters who try to ask what the hell is going on. Because earlier that day, the reporters came and inquired about All Might, but Aizawa what do you mean, rush them off, or basically shoo them off. And now the reporters have went as far as possible, and due to this, the entire not student body, the entire people who are rushing, just calm the fuck down, like seriously, calm the fuck down. And later in the class, everybody does realize that Izuku is the best president that I could ever hope for, because the guy just completely made other people statue. And Bakugo, who was there, kind of reminded of his experiences with Izuku when Izuku did that. Even Todoroki is actually surprised that Izuku was able to calm the entire ground by just looking at them. Like he felt it. He felt some kind of something overpowering him. He doesn't know what, but he's cautious. He doesn't know what the fuck totally his quirk is. He doesn't know what the hell his quirk is. What the hell Izuku's quirk is. It might seem like All Might, but this thing, as well as the ability to sense, that's not All Might. I mean, that wasn't reported as such. So he doesn't know what Izuku's quirk really is. It's basically confusion. Anyways, Aizawa tells them about training grounds as well on the USJ, and they get ready. Everyone wears their suits, including Izuku, because, as I said, Izuku's suit is due to the fact that Izuku and, I mean, I never said this, but Izuku and Katsuki's fight doesn't escalate that much. It did, because Katsuki was sent out of the building by Izuku with a punch. But as I said, Bakugo wasn't able to damage Izuku's suit's that much that Izuku had to wear his school uniform. Meaning, Izuku does wear school uniform, his hero costume during the USJ. And while they're going on the bus, Sui, whatever you call her, what is the frog girl, whatever, as I said, whatever you want to call her, comments on how Izuku's quirk is similar to All Might, but Kirishima rejects that and says that, well, Izuku can sense, and the thing which causes people to have a feeling of overbearing, that's not All Might's. I mean, it wasn't reported as such. Everyone turns to Izuku, wanting him to answer, and Izuku sighs, I mean, just how longer can he avoid this? He and even Izuku opens his mouth, and Katsuki and even Todoroki, who have again, Katsuki has no idea what Izuku's quirk is, and this is the first thing he's getting to know Izuku's quirk is. And even though he himself wants not, I mean, he does not want to know, or he thinks that he does not want to know, he himself wants to know deep down. And Todoroki, already being confused and intrigued by Izuku's quirk, which what Izuku's quirk might be, also listens in. He explains that my quirk is called willpower. This kind of confuses like everybody, but Bago slowly comes into realization because what then he goes into confusion like willpower, that makes sense, but how the fuck that does that make sense? Izuku does say what his quirk means. My quirk willpower allows me to manipulate my willpower and project it outside, you could say. Uraraka would ask what does that mean. Izuku would scratch his head and say that there are three types of willpower abilities that he uses. He calls them Haki. Number one is what he calls armament Haki, which allows him to boost his physical abilities. Which allows him to boost his physical abilities using his own willpower. This would surprise basically everybody because they never thought about that. Then he continues. The second is what I call observation Haki, which allows me to use my will as a projector of sorts, a sensor of sorts, to sense other people's will. Basically, I can sense other people wherever and whenever they are, with the range, that is. This makes complete sense because Izuku had shown insane sensory abilities, and his ability, I mean his quirk, as people think that it is different from All Might. I mean, come on, projecting your willpower to gain strength, yeah, that's kind of even more OP than All Might supposed super strength quirk. The third is what I call Congress-Haki. It's difficult to explain. It's difficult to explain, but Katsuki, that's when Katsuki says, what do you mean? You mean that thing you call? You mean that the pressure that you unleash upon us is that conquers Haki? Kind of Izuku is actually surprised that Bakugo is even listening to this, and Bakugo realized that he talked out loud and just like being sundere and stuff. But Izuku does tell them kind of my conqueror's Haki allows me to project my willpower onto others, forcing them to go to the ground. And that's when Kaminari surprisingly says that, well, basically it's a battle of willpower, isn't it? Izuku would nod and said, yes. Basically, if his will is stronger than others, is stronger than the person, he can easily knock them out if needed, or make them fall onto the ground. And that's when Suyu asks, is there nobody to the counter? But Izuku scratches his head and says, well, there is someone, or more or less couple of people who are stronger will than me. Those who are stronger will than me are able to easily survive it. I mean, are easily able to tank it. And yeah, this kind of makes the curiosity completely assumed, and this does make sense, the willpower and stuff, but kind of one person isn't buying it. I mean, not one person, no, I mean, everybody's buying it, but Izuku says anime sweat drops, thinking, you guys really think that the 30% power that I use is my willpower? But sure, it did make sense, I mean, come on, he's using his willpower as a product, well, projection, so it makes sense. He's not gonna really complain about it if it gives him an explanation for his quirk. It's just not supposed to be known to other people. Anyways, they arrive at the USJ where where Aizawa and 13 talk about All Might not being there, while the students are marveling at this USD. And Izuku, and that's when he senses something. And when he looks around, he senses some darkness, some weird sensation. He doesn't know weirdness, but it just feels bad. He just feels, just feels bad. He when he looks at it, he sees a small portal opening with villains just pouring out of it. He just points to that and says, "What the hell is that?" And everybody turns to see what the hell Izuku is talking about, and they see villains just pouring out of it. Kaminari is actually surprised that there are villains here, but he thinks it's part of the simulation. But Izuku instantly cuts him off, saying this is not part of the simulation. They're real villains. This makes Aizawa actually surprised because he did hear what Izuku's quirk is about, but it seems that Izuku can even realize the intentions of it. A really overpowered quirk used perfectly. Aizawa immediately gives instructions to stay behind, and Izuku, all the other gather behind 13, and Aizawa goes and starts beating the shit out of the hero. That's when Kurogiri appears to. That's when Kurogiri appears to the students while telling them about what their true deal is. They want to kill All Might and stuff. And Izuku analyzes the situation as fast as he can. He realizes that they are bait against All Might. Now that All Might isn't here due to his injuries, most probably, they are used as bait against All Might. Now, what are they gonna do? Basically, they have to survive until All Might comes. And that's when Bakugo and Kirishima try to attack. And I mean try because Izuku can easily sense it, and he stretches out his hand and grabs both of their collars before they try to attack, and uses Conqueror's Haki weirdly, which surrounds everybody and makes them like a pressure which causes their fear to just vanish, and tells them they're gonna survive and don't do something idiotic. Stick together, don't do something idiotic, and they're gonna survive. They have to wait until All Might comes. This actually surprises 13 as well as Kurogiri, and Izuku being a class president does make them feel safe because Izuku is just projecting his Conqueror's Haki, which kind of removes their fear that they're feeling right now. But Bago is like pissed that Izuku stopping him, but it makes sense, It makes sense. If Izuku's telling them to calm down, meaning that's most probably a dangerous guy. Kurogiri decides to warp all of them, and due to Bakugo and Kirishima, which is being standing next to Izuku not really able to do anything against the warping because he does not know if he can. He does not really know if he can punch the shit out of. If he can punch Kurogiri's quirk, he lets it do because he like pinpoints everybody's sense. He doesn't know what the hell it is, but he can really figure out that it's a kind of teleportation quirk, and he decides to risk it and see where they're getting teleported. Now, due to the fact that Bakugo and Kirishima are with him, they are the one who was sent to the boatyard, while Suyu and Minata as well are sent to the fiery place where they had to take down many villains, but they are not able. Anyways, let's continue. Bakugo and Kirishima start falling onto the ground, and Bakugo is able to react just in time to explode himself to the boat for air maneuverability, and he's not that good at it yet, but he's able to do it almost easily. He's able to land on the boat, but Kirishima and Izuku, not having really any experience to fly, they just land on the water, and both Izuku is the first one to react due to this insane sensory abilities. He's able to sense everybody, every villains that are surrounding him. He quickly swims up, holding Kirishima, and they both jump to the boat just in time before a shark man attacks them. After getting themselves in condition, they decide to take out a plan, but Bakugo just says he's going to explore them all, but Izuku just stands up and tells them to shut up. And Bakugo does, surprising Izuku again. Like, what the hell is happening with Bakugo? Izuku makes a plan. He's going to be risky, but maybe it might work. It's not going to be risky, but it's not going to be risky, but might not work basically. Kirishima says to go on. Izuku walks up to the edge of the boat. He takes a deep breath in, deep breath out, and opens his eyes, using all of his Conqueror's Haki to project itself around, surrounding the boat. This causes a dome of red energy to surround the board. I mean, Kirishima, nobody can really see it except for Izuku, and it just it just expands, goes through many villains who are just outside and knocks them out, and they start floating in the water while everybody in the in the boatyard is completely knocked out except for Izuku, Bakugo, and Kirishima. This surprises and kind of terrifies Kirishima because in Bakugo, because he never saw this much of it. This, like, seriously, this much of it. Kirishima's like seriously awed by Izuku just staring at it, and like seriously now Izuku just tells them they have to swim up, and both of them, all three of, I mean, all both Kirishima and Izuku jump to the waters to swim, and Bakugo tries air maneuverability because he does it. All of them land on all of them land on the land a couple of minutes later after swimming, and Izuku decides to stretch his senses as far as possible, and he's able to almost go through the facility except for the entrance, and he doesn't know what the hell is happening in the entrance, but he can sense everybody. He decides that he needs to take in command, so he can't use Conqueror's Haki at that much big. I mean, yeah, the entire Conqueror's Haki was only able to surround the entire port here, meaning it can't completely surround the entire USJ now. It's not that strong yet. And yes, I said yet. Izuku devises a plan and tells Katsuki and Kirishima to go and save people. Katsuki doesn't want to, but again, Izuku just uses Conqueror's Haki, a teeny tiny bit of Conqueror's Haki on Katsuki to push him down, telling him to go. Bakugo reluctantly goes, and Kirishima is even more awed by Izuku, and both of them run to different directions, taking out many villains. Izuku decides to see what the hell is up because he can sense Aizawa sensei fighting against villains. He decides to go help them, but that's when he sees Nomu attacking Aizawa. And Izuku's instincts take over, and he immediately uses One for All as well as Armored Haki to blitz towards where Nomu is and throw a punch, which again is infused with Armored Haki and One for All 30%. But surprising for him, it does not affect Nomu at all. Shigaraki starts crackling and starts explaining about what Nomu's quirk is, which is super strength, superhuman strength, and superhuman speed, intense regeneration, as well as the ability to, as well as shock absorption. Yes, shockwave absorption or something. I forgot. But Izuku does not know what the hell he's gonna do. Like, seriously, what the hell he's gonna do. But that's when his observation Haki does pick up something. He just barely dodges a punch, and he had to use his entire speed, which just barely dodges a punch. He then tries to throw another punch, but it's caught by Nomu, and Nomu kicks Izuku, and Izuku is just barely able to react by using Armament Haki at that single place where Nomu is going to kick to lessen the impact. It sends Izuku flying even with the lessened impact, and his bones are cracked. His bones are cracked, but it's not broken. His bones are cracked. His ribs are cracked a little. Doesn't know what he's gonna do, but he has to save Aizawa Sensei. He doesn't know when All Might is gonna come, but he knows he has to stall till then because he's All Might's successor. That's his responsibility. And now with the fire under his eyes, he again blitzes towards Nomu, but Nomu is easily able to dodge the punch and goes for another punch in the face, but Izuku just basically drops his body to the ground, dodging the punch. But then he uses his hand to pull himself up and give a kick to Nomu, but Nomu is able to easily absorb the shock, which just radiates out Izuku. He grabs Izuku's face, but he goes to grab Izuku's face, but Izuku is able to just barely dodge it. Izuku is getting annoyed by what he's not able to do anything, and Shigaraki just mildly laughing. So he decides to do one shit. He just uses Conqueror's Haki to try to subdue Nomu, but that's when he realizes Nomu isn't getting affected at all. He realizes Nomu is an artificial intelligence. Again, a theory that he hasn't tested yet. He thought that the artificial intelligence wouldn't be able to attack him, wouldn't be able to get affected by him, and it proves it. Now, it might not be artificial intelligence like computer stuff, but this Nomu is basically made. Okay, this doesn't have a will of its own, meaning Izuku can't really Izuku can't really use his Conqueror's Haki on him. The only reason Izuku can even sense him right now is because of this small, teeny tiny bit of will. Doesn't know what it is, but there's a teeny tiny bit of will there is, and Izuku can sense all wills around in this area of domain. When using observation Haki, and due to that, he's able to dodge most of the attacks. But Izuku is only able to dodge, and now due to the fact that he's using Conqueror's Haki, this doesn't do anything to affect Nomu, but it affects someone else, Shigaraki Tomura. Shigaraki just knocks out. I mean, come on, Izuku just used the full parental force of the observer to Conqueror's Haki to knock. Knock Nomu, but it had an inverse effect to knock Tomura, Shigaraki, which is good in his opinion, but that's when he has to dodge another punch, which is coming from Nomu at a speed that he's barely able to dodge. I mean, he has to spar with All Might. So due to that, his observation Haki, as I said, is developed. He's able to react to speeds. of Nomu, but just barely, and I mean barely, with this big question. Okay, like seriously, the punch just scrapes him and he feels the damage. He has no other choice. He doesn't know how he could handle it. He just doesn't know how he could handle it. But that's when he decides to fuck it. He goes one for all 100%, which tears off his shirt, tears off his suit, and he throws a punch, entirety of a punch, but again, it just Izuku's ready for the damage it's gonna cause in his arm, but it does not happen. The punch is landed successfully, but again, the sharp absorption is just so great that even 100% one for all, armored with Conqueror's Haki is still able to get absorbed by it. Izuku is actually shocked and not able to dodge the coming punch against Nomu, getting hit in the face, but not before Izuku is able to do one more thing. Izuku throws another punch in the heat of the movement, but this punch is not infused with one for all. It's just infused with armament Haki. But Izuku wants to punch him. He wants to punch him so bad. His will projects his will. His will reacts to his commands, and just before he's punched in the face, Izuku is able to punch him in the stomach. But there's an unseen reaction happens. A green force which just comes out of Izuku's body and hits Nomu, which skids Nomu back just a little bit for the punch to just scrape him. But the damage is intense. Izuku gets sent flying and he lands pretty badly. He tries to get up, and he sees Nomu's reaction. The punch was internal, not external, and internal damages are not absorbed by Nomu, but the regeneration does help with that. And the Nomu decides to attack, but that's when ice block. That's when an ice barricade is blocked to block the Nomu and Deku. And Deku sees that it's Todoroki, which he kind of sensed before. And Todoroki decides to fight him, but that's when the door explodes. And Izuku senses it. It's All Might. Izuku breathes a sigh of relief because he knows who can win this. He has belief in All Might. Now, Ida was still able to get the teachers as well as All Might, meaning the fight between All Might and Nomu still happens. But when but due to the fact that Tomura Shigaraki is knocked out, Kurogiri has no other choice to teleport him back to the headquarters of the League of Villains, meaning they are able to use a tactic of trying to break one for all. All Might's arm, Meaning, the fight still ends up with All Might using his entire power, causing him to get his timer to get decreased even more. But yeah, the day is saved. The injuries are required. Mostly, they are injured. That being Suyu and Mineta, due to the fact that they are not in their domain like they would be in the canon, but they still beat quite a lot of villains. The most of the time, most of the characters still had their own villains to face. But Bago and Kirishima were able to deal with most of the villains too. And after this, the USA's incident is kind of closed, but the public does get to know about it. Meaning, the next day or the couple of days later, when the students come back from a leave given to them after the USG attack, they are notified by Aizawa, a bandaged Aizawa, about the US Sports Festival. And while they're going, they're scouted by scouted by the classes, which kind of annoys Izuku because he wants to go home, eat and sleep, and these people are blocking him. And that's when this person named Shinzo just comes and declares war. This pisses up causes Izuku to just decide to, he just says, you know what, fuck it, and he uses his conqueror's haki to make everybody still, and the entire class or class of 1A turns to Izuku, and while the class of B2, the class of the other class, the students also turn to Izuku, and Izuku just says, get the hell out of my way, I'm not in the mood to hear your declaration about some war. If you guys want to get in the hero course, do your own shit. No one gives a damn, only you do. So if you want to be a hero, be it yourself. Stop trying to demotivate other people because of it. And and then Izuku just walks off with the path made for him. Out of that, all the class 1A people also walk off, and a couple of the students are given 2 weeks in which Izuku tries to replicate the feeling of it, that weird energy, but he isn't able to, because as I said, it was just in a moment of need. He wasn't able to really replicate. He wasn't able to do it. He doesn't know why, but he wasn't able to do it again. He tried so hard, but he couldn't. He and All Might trained him for the next 2 weeks, which caused Izuku's ability to use one for all to grow from 30% to 34%, which is good again because Izuku did take some more damage, causing Izuku to realize that he needs a better defense. He needs to be much more durable. And again, due to the fact that Armament Haki is, you could say, the best defense thing that he currently has, he decides to do a weird thing. He decides to spread it around his body, but he isn't able to do it fully. He's able to only spread it around his arms as well as his ribs and his head. He's able to only use it up to his arms because it's kind of tiring. He has to maintain constant focus because he only practiced. He has only practiced using Haki with only his hands, not his entire arm. So meaning he can't just do it automatically. But anyways, 2 weeks has passed and everybody is ready for the US Sports Festival, or as ready as they could be. Izuku is waiting in line so the class 1A could be called, but that's when Todoroki approaches him and tells him, figuratively speaking, my work is better than yours. But before Todoroki could even continue, say, what? He gets hit by Conqueror's Haki by Izuku. Izuku was trying to calm his nerves before the excitement, but Todoroki trying to trash talk him is kind of annoying. So he decides to use Conqueror's Haki, which pushes Shoto down to his knees, and Izuku just stares at him and asks, is that why you're better than me? That you're in your knees in front of me? Izuku stands up from the bench, and then he deactivates his Conqueror's Haki and says, I don't care if you're figuratively better than me in Quirk usage. I'm going to win because I want to win, because I'm going to be the number one hero. If you guys want to do it, then he looks at all the other people. I'm ready for a fight whenever I want. But that's when, before anyone could respond, the class 1 is called and everyone is hyped, like seriously. But Todoroki is kind of embarrassed, he was fall down on his knees and stuff. But yeah, uh, due to the fact that Izuku has the top marks, he's the one who was presented to the stadium to give a oath. Now Izuku takes a deep breath in and thinks about what he talked with All Might a couple of weeks ago. All Might tells him, now let's go to flashback. All Might tells him that this is the stage. This is the stage where he's gonna tell the world that he is here. And Izuku decides to make a dramatical poster. He who has been training in Congress Haki ever since the incident with the USJ, who he doesn't know really what he needs to do, but he kind of training it just unconsciously, using it better. He uses Congress Haki surrounding other people, but he doesn't like completely use them. He just uses in a wild scale reaction. And due to the fact that Congress Haki is boosting his voice, he says, my goal is to be the number one hero. My goal is to be the number one hero. And you guys are the obstacles that I need to pass through so I could become that. I want to be a hero just like All Might. He doesn't say that, but yeah, I want to be a hero who's number one. And you guys also want to be a hero who's greater than me. Or you want to be that. So bring it on. I'll take you all. And if people can beat me, then go ahead. I won't take it against you guys. But the pressure builds up and people will start getting weaker in their legs. The Conquest Haki is kind of overwhelming them and says, as I said, beat me to get the spot that I have currently right under my belt. The number one student and the fresher of USJ. And he takes back his mic and then starts walking down. Remember, as I said, Izuku is kind of an overconfident guy, and this kind of proves it because Izuku, as I said, is completely different from his canonical counterpart. And now he has challenged the entire UA first years to just race against them. This motivates, angers, humiliates everybody, and they are like super excited to beat the absolute living crap out of Izuku. Also, they think. The first round is All Might's proud. Like, seriously, the guy did a so good introduction in front of the entire world. Like, seriously, give a claps to the Izuku. Like, seriously, man. But anyways, the first round is decided to be the obstacle race, and when the countdown starts, Izuku uses armament Haki in his legs and his hands, because now he can simultaneously use his armament Haki in his legs and hands, and because he has trained that much, as I said, in these 2 weeks. And when the timer starts, he blitzes. He basically runs as fast as possible using 32% of one for all, and he's able to just pass the ice layer that Todoroki later puts. And when he's running, he sees the first he sees a 0-pointer. He decides to, you know what, let's fight it. Then that's when he jumps and takes his back up, and he remembers another advice that All Might told him. The world is seeing you, and for that you need to say, I am here. And for that you need to show off to the people. And Izuku decides that this is the time to show off. So Izuku, with all of his strength, current strength that is, instead of using 100%, he uses 32% of one for all. With his armament Haki, punches the 0-pointers. It didn't do as much damage as it did in canon when Izuku used it during the entrance test, but it still pushes it back. It doesn't completely destroy it, but it still pushes it back, and Izuku is able to land on the ground safely and starts running. This excites the crowd so much. They start shouting, and Present Mike, being the best what do you say? What is that word called? The best audience manipulator, the guy who comments, the best commentator of all existence in My Hero Academia, starts bullshitting his way through. The first test is the second round is the fall, which is a canyon where they don't know how just deep it is. Izuku decides to do the most logical argument. But Deku, deciding to go with All Might's way of doing things, uses one for on his legs, then jumps and lands on a cliff. Then again jumps. He jumps through the cliff and reaches the other side of the canyon without much difficulty. And Izuku is still in first place. nothing must change. Then that's when he sees the trap mine. He can not sense it, but can he realizes that this is a trap mine. He doesn't know where the hell it is. So he decides to do something stupid. It might be stupid, but it might be awesome too. Izuku decides to do a jumping japak. He runs as fast as possible using 32% of 1 for all with armament Haki. Again, I say 32% of 1 for all with armament Haki. He jumps again and again and again. He just doesn't care if he steps on landmines because he's able to jump again with such speed that the landmine explodes a second later. And with his reaction speed, which is higher than normal because of his observation Haki, he's able to easily cross through the landmine with absolutely not much difficulty. And that's then he reaches the end of the line, securing the first point of the obstacle course. And due to the fact that he has won first and Katsuki was second, Todoroki is second and Katsuki is third, Izuku gets 1 million points. And when he decided, and the second exam, that's the second sports festival is the cavalry battle. Now Izuku decides to search other people, but nobody is willing to approach him. Like seriously, nobody. The only person he could even get a permission from is Tokoyami, and that's because Tokoyami just is weak to physical combatants, and he lets anybody. Not even Ochako, due to the fact that Izuku made just a big scene in the locker, basically motivating them to come out here, as well as in the competition. The announcement of the first, during the oath, that everybody is motivated and everyone wants to defeat him, even Uraraka. Due to that, Izuku is basically left alone with Todoroki. Not Todoroki, with Tokoyami. He doesn't know what the hell he's going to do with Tokoyami, and he's kind of annoyed. Like, seriously, he's kind of fucking annoyed what he's going to do. And Tokoyami sees this and asks Izuku, why not just end it right there? You did do it, right? Izuku looks at it and decides, you know what? Fuck this shit. He's gonna fuck up this tournament because everyone decides to fuck him up, right? So the countdown ends and the trial begins, like countdown, and he hears people talking trash about him, thinking that he's gonna lose just because he has Tokoyami on his back. Yes, he's having Tokoyami. Izuku decides, you know what? He's gonna fuck up this tournament. When the fight starts, he apologizes to everybody and then uses Conqueror's Haki, knocking every participant out. He's only specifically targeting for the participants, so every participant is KO, knocked out. And Yes turns to midnight with a shocked Tokoyami in his back and asks him, well, am I win? Did I win? She just nods dumbly, and Izuku just carries Tokoyami to the bench and pops him to the ground, and he sits in beside him. And Tokoyami just is shocked that he can't even respond. The announcers as well as the managers of the tournament decide to do a battle royale, basically pitting up against each other to see who the hell would win. And when the participants wake up, they're pissed. So they decide to do everybody's accepted to do a battle royale, and everybody's pissed. And a group fight starts. Everybody jumps on everybody. Ida goes as fast as possible to be the some people while Katsuki decides to blow up to some people. Todoroki freezes some people while Uraka touches and throws him out of the ground. Furyu jumps and slaps on some person. Mineta throws balls and takes and throws it out. Things like that go on. Shinzo, a person who declared war against the Class 1A, the mind controls them and throws other people out, while Monoma copies the people he's just knocked out to knock out more people. And with all of this, there are only a couple of participants that are remaining. That is Katsuki Bakugo, Shoto Todoroki, Monoma, Shinzo, and now Tokoyami and Izuku. There are only 6 participants. So all of this, and everybody is basically tired except even Shoto is because he had to use his eyes so many times. And they decided to give us an hour of break when everybody recharges except for Tokuyami and Izuku. I mean, they didn't really do anything. And the next battle comes, 2-on-2 battles with basically everyone going in. The first battle is between. So an hour later, the first fight is between Izuku Midoriya and Shinzo. Now, when the fight begins, Shinzo decides to trap Izuku while talking, and Izuku does fall on it. And when he gets paralyzed because of Shinzo's brainwashing quirk, Shinzo tells him to get out while Izuku starts walking. But he starts at the you could say, edge. What do you say here? Edge of the line, edge of the ring, and he then starts shaking his booty. Like, seriously, everybody's so confused. Even Shinzo's confused to be even shocked. He turns and has a smile on his face, an amused smile, and a raised eyebrow. Like, seriously, you think brainwashing me is gonna make me quit? Then that's when he uses Conqueror's Haki and pushes Shinzo to the ground, and Shinzo starts breathing heavily. He says, "You're using brainwashing spells against me now? This is a battle you want to battle of wills. I have the ability to manipulate will, remember? So your brainwashing ability doesn't work on you. And it seems that that's only your way of fighting. If you knew close combat attacks, you would have done better than this. But due to the fact that you're over reliant on a brainwashing quirk, you don't have any physical combat abilities. You say that we are arrogant, but what are you supposed to be if you only only use your quirk instead of making use of your quirk? But that's when he looks at Shinzo, bowing down to, basically sitting next to Shinzo, not sitting, basically going down to Shinzo's level and says, before you challenge someone or declare war against each other, know your own abilities. Then he uses even more Conqueror's Haki to completely knock Shinzo out. And the people, the doctors take him and realize that Shinzo is not even hurt, he just knocked out with the pressure. The second match is between Todoroki versus Monoma. Now this match is kind of interesting because Monoma can copy quirks and he decides to, fuck this shit. And he decides to use Todoroki's fire quirk. This completely pisses off Todoroki to the point where he uses ice. He decides to use ice, but Monoma can easily burn it out. But due to the due to Todoroki getting pissed so bad, he isn't able to concentrate on the match. But Monoma is gloating, and due to that, he's also able to concentrate on the match. And due to this, a couple of minutes pass with Todoroki trying as hard as to destroy Monoma, but Monoma are burning the ice. But that's when Monoma's fire stops and he's completely freezed up by Todoroki because Monoma's quirk has a mimic has reached his time limit. And yeah, Todoroki wins with huffing and puffing because he used all his ice to use against Monoma, but Monoma burnt it easily. This kind of had Todoroki on a standstill. He wanted to be the best hero with his mother's quirk and not his father's quirk, but his father's quirk, the left side of this, burnt his mother's quirk to ashes. Literally water. What is he gonna do? He's in his contemplative movement, and Izuku sees this and realizes something is not right with Todoroki. The next match is Bakugo versus Tokoyami, and Bakugo easily figures out Tokoyami's weakness and uses the flashbang attack to disable Tokoyami and beat him in close combat attack, causing Bakugo to just go directly to the finals. This kind of annoys him, but well, sure, he knows that Izuku is going to win, so he's going to get to fight Izuku again. Now, Izuku versus Todoroki happens, and this time Todoroki is much more in trouble, unstable, because he doesn't know what to think anymore. And Izuku, while going to the ground, he meets against Endeavor, who tells him to use against all, but Izuku, already seeing Todoroki having some conflict within himself, realizes that Todoroki doesn't want to use his quirk because of something that Endeavor did. That's when Izuku uses his Conqueror's Haki on Endeavor, trying to try using all of his Conqueror's Haki on Endeavor. But remember, Endeavor is still the second best hero. He's still able to tank it, but not as hard as All Might can. He gets to the ground in one knee, but Izuku just looks at him and says, "You did something to Todoroki, didn't you?" The reason why he hates his fire side is because you did something. He hates his fire side, the same side that is a part of him. And you had the guts to tell me to go all out on him just because you want him to complete your fucking ambitions? You wanted to be the number one. Everybody knows that. But did you do something to Todoroki? Did you push your ambition onto Todoroki just because you couldn't beat All Might? Because you were such a pussy that you couldn't even surpass All Might with your own fucking power? Yeah, Izuku knows that it's a hypocrite. He's being a hypocrite, but he's not putting much mind to it. And Izuku's and the Congress Haki is just getting larger and larger, and another knee drops to the ground, with Endeavor getting pushed into the ground. The pressure is just too much to handle. And Izuku says, "I'm not going to do this for you." Izuku releases his Conqueror's Haki and looks at the Endeavor with contempt and disgust. He's not going to do this for you. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for Todoroki, to make him accept himself. It should have been a father's job, but clearly you're not meant to be a father. And he just walks out of the ground, clearly not in the right mood. He's pissed. Seriously, he's pissed, and he's trying hard to control himself and in order to go off his Conqueror's Haki. Endeavor, though, he's in a different situation. Every word that Izuku said rings in his ears. The pressure made him focus only on Izuku, and every word rings in his ears. He doesn't know what to think. He's angry at Izuku because Izuku just called him a pussy. But what Izuku saying is straight. He couldn't surpass All Might with his own fucking power, and he's using Shoto for it. But he wants to see what the hell is going to happen, so he puts this on the back of his mind and goes and sees the entire fight. Now Izuku is pissed, while Todoroki is troubled, conflicted, and the fight begins. Izuku is deciding not to use one for all because he wants to push Todoroki to the limit. He realizes that Todoroki is not accepting himself, and he wants Todoroki to do it because that's what a hero does. If he can't help the person in front of him, how the hell he can help so many people? How can he be the next symbol of peace? If he can't help Todoroki, a guy who's conflicted right in front of him, and if Izuku knows the reason why he's conflicted, if Izuku can't help him, how can he help the millions of people that he's going to do in the future? That's what drives Izuku right now. So he uses Armament Haki to run towards Todoroki, and Todoroki uses ice, but Izuku uses his one for all quirk to destroy the ice. But other than that, instead of using his one for all to destroy the ice, he doesn't do anything else. He just uses his Armament Haki to fight. This pisses off Shoto, him enraged, even because of the embarrassment that he felt before, and he shouts at Izuku to use his full power. But that's when he asks, "Aren't you using your full power?" This pisses off Shoto even more and says that he's not going to use his power. And Izuku realizes the complete story. Izuku realizes that Shoto thinks that his left side is Endeavor's power, not his. So Izuku decides to do something. He doesn't use Conqueror's Haki, he doesn't use anything. He drops his Armament Haki too, and just puts up his hands in his vest and asks, "His quirk?" You're saying so your left side of the body is his then. This kind of interrupts, this kind of like stops anger that Shoto has, and Izuku continues. So the left side of your hair, the hair that is red, and the left side of your body is his then. Now what's the right side of your body? Your mother's? This would make conflict. Yeah, maybe. He doesn't know his right side of the body is... the right side of the body is his mother's. Then what is yours? What is yours? If the left side of your body is your father's, the right side of your body is your mother's, what is yours? This confused. This confuses Shoto for a second, but that's when realization dawns on him. He immediately uses his fire quirk and has a small smile on his face because this is not his father's quirk, this is not his mother's quirk, this is his quirk. And he looks at Izuku and asks him, "You inspired me. You told me to use my both of my quirks. Why, you want to lose or something?" Izuku has a small smile on his face, and then he activates one for all with armament Haki and says, "I'm not going to lose, I'm going to easily win." And and due to the fact that Todoroki basically used most of his energy while fighting Monoma, he decides to he tells Izuku to do this in one shot. Izuku decides, sure, why not? Yeah, he decides to well sacrifice one of his arms because, as I said, he's going all out. He uses his right arm. He uses his left arm because that's the arm that is not dominant to him. He charges 100% of one for all and then dupes while Todoroki uses flash fire, mixing and unknowingly uses flash fire. His Cementos tries to block this, but due to the power of both of the attack is destroyed. But Todoroki is the one who sent out of the bombs, while Izuku has his half shirt burnt, showing his muscles. Izuku has declared the winner, and the next round is with him and Tatsuki Bakugo. Now Izuku's left arm is kind of destroyed because he used one for all at 100%. So he has a slingshot, but it doesn't matter because the fight between Izuku and Bakugo is just a steep stick compared to Izuku and Todoroki. Izuku is easily able to dodge any on all attacks that Bakugo throws at him. With one hand, he's easily able to react quick enough to give punch to Bakugo's and kicks to Bakugo's. Even if Bakugo uses Howl of Impact, he's easily able to dodge it and give him a kick in the chest, knocking him out. Either way, Izuku is the winner of the UA Sports Festival, and Bakugo accepts it, even though he's in full of rage that he has lost to Izuku again. But he's good to accept it instead of being chained and stuff, He's accepted, and All Might give the prize money, the prize medals, while complimenting Shoto and Tokiyami for their brave abilities to reach the final round. And then Bakugo to doing excellent showcase of power against Tokiyami as well as against Izuku, and he congratulates Izuku for a job well done and being the champion of the US Sports Festival. And that's where we're gonna leave for this episode, guys. It's been like 52 minutes, seriously, and goddamn, it's long. But anyways, this is the third part of What If Deku, Haki. And if you guys like this video, like, share, subscribe, do the necessary stuff. And if you don't, I can understand. Peace out.